In today's review we are gonna be taking a look at a pretty unique and uncommon occurrence when it comes to LEGO Star Wars. Set number 40806 Gingerbread AT-AT is the second holiday/Christmas themed set, at least talking about sets that you can buy as a regular fan, and also the first Star Wars themed Christmas set after the 1-year break in 2024, as there was no successor after the 2023 Millennium Falcon Holiday Diorama retired. The Gingerbread AT-AT retails for roughly $60 and 60 euros, includes 697 pieces and one very special minifigure. We're gonna talk about the, in my opinion, pretty fair price point a little later, so let's take a first look at the beautiful box art, which I am a huge fan of. We get a nice mountainy background with a Christmas tree, as we see Vader and the AT-AT walking through the snow-covered landscape. If you look closely, you can also see a snowspeeder flying in the background behind the four-legged gingerbread walker, which could only be a nice reference to the Battle of Hoth, however, it could also be a slight hint at a new snowspeeder. As you might know, LEGO made a whole new windshield piece for the Force Burner snowspeeder, so the collective opinion of the community is that LEGO is pretty likely to reuse that piece on a future snowspeeder, which I would very much welcome. Continuing on the side of the box, there is some nice artwork as well, and on the back you can get a glimpse of the cozy interior and a bunch of play features, which we will see later in this video, and also once again this really nice snowy landscape. When opening the set, you get a total of 5 numbered bags and structure manual with a pretty straightforward building process, and also 2 of these white hoses, which will later on be used for the Christmas lights hanging off the AT-AT. Starting with the building process, the first part that you build is the main body from the AT-AT with this nice interior with the fireplace, the Christmas socks and a little spot for Vader. Then you proceed to add some panels at the top, you build the cockpit/head and attach it to the front of the main body. Next are the 4 legs, which are a little repetitive, but that's to be expected when building an AT-AT. While having 4 legs is pretty nice and helpful, you still need some feet to walk and stand on, so in the next step you proceed to attach all of them to each of the legs. Afterwards you add the middle section for both of the side panels, then secure them with 4 plates and add some details on top to make it look a little nicer. Following that you add 2 front side panels and 2 side panels in the back to close the whole build off, and lastly you add some Christmas lights on both sides, and there you have it, your Gingerbread AT-AT. But before we're gonna be looking at the AT-AT in a more detailed way, let's take a look at another pretty special inclusion in this set, Gingerbread Darth Vader. This is one of the absolute best minifigures of 2025, and with it being the only minifigure in this $60 set, it absolutely should be a highlight. Vader himself comes with the typical 2-piece mold for his helmet. He has some awesome printing on torso, hips, legs and feet, and the details are very neat. The usual lines of Vader's suit are done with some frosting here to match the gingerbread aesthetic, and the buttons are some kind of candy, which shows how much love went into this set. On the backside of his torso he has some similar printing, but I don't think that you're really gonna see this often because look at this cape. LEGO really went out of their way and printed the backside of the cape, and that for a holiday figure. Just like on his torso, there is some frosting all around the edges and some other details on the rest of the cape. Sadly, the head under his helmet doesn't come with any print, but in my opinion it also doesn't really need to. This figure is so damn cool, and I can't tell you how surprised and amazed I am by the quality of this figure, considering that it's just a holiday set, which is not that important. He also comes with a sugarcane and a cookie, which is of course printed, but you can also display him with a lightsaber if you choose so. However, my preferred look on display is definitely with the candy cane stuck into the lightsaber hilt, which I think looks even cooler. Comparing him to a normal Vader, you can very well see that besides the color, it is just the normal Vader minifigure. But the, in my opinion, much more logical comparison has to be with the 2014 Santa Vader from the Advent Calendar. As the Santa Vader got released in the 2014 Advent Calendar, it is a relatively dated figure, especially looking at the helmet piece, but otherwise they're both awesome. I think having both of them on display is a very valid thing to do, but more on that later. Now let's finally get back to the Gingerbread AT-AT itself, and I have to say that I'm stunned by this model. The building process wasn't only really cozy when listening to some Christmas music, but also super fun. The finished model looks awesome, especially for the size being relatively small for an AT-AT, and I don't think you could have downscaled it any more, but that is totally not a problem, as a small Gingerbread AT-AT is absolutely enough to display as some cute Christmas deco for any LEGO and or Star Wars fan. Even though it is relatively small, there are a lot of details to get further into, so let's take a look at it. On the side there's once again that frosting on the edges matching the appearance of Vader, as well as a lot of candy represented by some 1x1 round tiles. The Christmas lights are attached by 3 points and you can post them a little, but overall they stay pretty securely in their place. The legs have some more frosting and candy as details, and the feet are cakes, which I think is a brilliant idea. The cakes have the white frosting/sugar coating as well, and also some ribbons which look really cute. When it comes to the legs, I want to point out that LEGO used red pins, so it fits the overall look, which I think is great. However, the bigger Technic parts are still grey, which is not as great and is kinda visible, but not as much that it is really worthy enough to really complain about. The backside of the AT-AT is nicely detailed and finished as well, and looks also pretty good. The other side is pretty much the same, just mirrored, so nothing crazy to discover here. The lower cannons on the head are white and red to look like candy canes, and the side cannons on the head are actual candy canes, which once again is a super funny idea and I love it. Speaking of the head, you cannot move it to any side. Because of its size and connection to the main body, it stays locked in its position and cannot be adjusted like you may know it from previous AT-ATs. You can however open this little hatch which reveals a small interior. Vader barely fits inside and you cannot close the hatch when he's sitting in there, but I think it still looks pretty cool when Vader is peeking his head out of the cockpit. Typically for playscale AT-AT, even though this one is smaller than the average, it comes with 2 of these rotation joints on each leg, which allows you to pretty freely pose it how you'd like. The feet are attached with 1 pin, so they're kind of dangling, but they still find their spot, and the AT-AT is really sturdy and stable in many walking positions, which I really like. But by far my favorite feature is what you'll find when you open up one of the side panels. On the inside there is a fully fleshed out and very detailed Christmas interior with a lot to discover. I think this grey ball is supposed to represent the Death Star, but it doesn't come with a print, so I'm a little unsure. There is a nice fireplace with some hanging socks, a little chair where Vader can sit, and a cup with some tea or hot chocolate. In the back there are 2 presents which are a bit finicky to get out, but it's a pretty nice add-on. One of them is a square in red and yellow, and the second one is a green and white round present. On each inside of the doors there are some Christmas ornaments, and overall there is a ton of deco on the inside, which is not only super fun to build, but also shows how much love and care went into the design process of this model. You got a spot for the lightsaber, the candy cane, and you can put Vader on a spot so he can eat his cookie and drink some hot chocolate. Overall it looks super cool when Vader is sitting in there, and I'm just very happy and very surprised about the amount of detail on this interior. When you compare the size of this model to some of the previous releases, such as the 2020 Playscale AT-AT or the UCS AT-AT, the Gingerbread version obviously gets dwarfed in every way. But that makes absolutely sense, as the 2020 AT-AT retailed for about $170 and the UCS AT-AT retailed for about $800 to $850 compared to the small $59.99 USD price point of the Holiday version. I think it's the perfect size for such a non-canon fun version of the AT-AT, and the price seems pretty fair as it's under 10 cents per piece. But now there is one question that comes to mind. Is this set the better Star Wars Christmas set or the Millennium Falcon Holiday Diorama from 2023? Value-wise they seem pretty similar, with the diorama having more figures, but the AT-AT having a way more detailed and unique one. Display-wise there is in my opinion no competition for the AT-AT, as it looks way cooler and is the more unique display piece. But the ultimate display piece for me is gonna be a combination of both of those sets. I gathered all of my Star Wars Holiday figures together with some other Hoth or Snow themed figures, and I think it looks awesome. It's gonna be a super fun display for the Christmas time, which is one of, if not my most favorite time of the year, and I'm thinking about building a Christmas mug of some sort, so if you're interested in that, please let me know down in the comments below. Overall, I'm very happy with this set, and I think it is an amazing set for every LEGO Star Wars fan who wants a Christmas decoration piece. Of course, the set is not everyone's cup of tea, but I think having one of these theme sets each year would be really cool and doesn't really hurt anyone. I'm very happy with the price that I paid, and I hope that LEGO will continue to release more of these holiday sets, and that also love some Halloween ones for Star Wars. But now feel free to let me know your opinion about the Gingerbread AT-AT down in the comments below. Are these holiday sets something for you, or are you like the Grinch, not the biggest fan of that? Now I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would highly appreciate a like to support the channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out some of my other videos, you'll see them on the end screen right now.